People were asking if Donald Trump would show a sign of life, given that he hasn't had any major press appearances since last Wednesday. Well, he's not really doing an effective job at this. He's purportedly golfing today on the taxpayer dime at his Virginia golf course, which would be bad in and of itself. But take a look at how he looks right here. This was the photo of him captured purportedly before he went in his vehicle to go golfing today on the taxpayer dime. It should be noted that a lot of MAGA influencers have been posting photos like this. Donald Trump is alive and well. Just look at him hitting straight bombs on the fairway. That's not Virginia. I don't believe they have palm trees in Virginia like this. Yep, these MAGA influencers are posting old photos and saying it's Donald Trump golfing today. You're not really convincing me there. Oh, and when Donald Trump was traveling to his Virginia golf course, he was getting the middle finger by people who were giving him the two-finger salute as he headed into his golf course. Yep, people are absolutely livid at Donald Trump and his despicable regime. The press pool reporters noted that Donald Trump was indeed getting the middle finger as he went to golf for the day, purportedly. And again, look at him in the photo that was captured right there. Very, very sickly looking as well. Something is going on there, and I've done many videos of it. Go back this weekend where the Trump regime's propagandists are claiming it's just because he shakes a lot of hands, and but they said it's not a big deal. It appears to be, and again, this is just an opinion, I'm not a doctor, some serious either cardiovascular, kidney, or liver issue based on medical professionals I've spoken to. But again, that's just an opinion right there. Now, while Donald Trump is getting the middle finger to his face and purportedly golfing on the taxpayer dime in Virginia, he is posting things like this on his social media platform. MAGA Republican Congressmember Andy Ogles is saying that Donald Trump needs the Nobel Peace Prize. So Donald Trump reposts breaking. Ogles, who's a MAGA Republican Congress member, a loser, by the way, goes, Donald Trump for Nobel Peace Prize. And then Donald Trump previously posted the following QAnon image of himself. The world will soon understand nothing can stop what is coming, to which Governor Newsom then posted a similar image mocking Donald Trump with the same QAnon logo in his hand. Look at Donald Trump's hand, by the way. You can see Q+, which is QAnon, a literal death cult. Yes, the president of the United States, and it pains me to say that, is making death cult QAnon posts because he knows his approval is sinking right now, and he's appealing to the most violent members of his cult. And of course, he has to invoke religion because that's what all these MAGA fools do when they rip away people's rights, when they take away people's money. They use religion as a sword and a shield to try to cover for their dastardly, despicable, and vile conduct. Donald Trump posts the following. Isn't it nice to have a president who is not ashamed to pray? And then Donald Trump also posts that he fired all of the EPA members who wrote an open letter criticizing the head of the EPA, because as you know, the head of the EPA, Lee Zeldin, is now saying that there is no such thing as climate change, and they intend to remove all of the studies that say that climate change is man-made and is a problem, so that corporations can do whatever the hell they want, and that all environmental regulations can be stripped, and we can live in a toxic wasteland where everybody dies of cancer and other ailments that we've known about for many, many decades and are trying to prevent. Now, Donald Trump has also been posting things like this. I'm not going to read this whole post for you, but it's basically Donald Trump whining and complaining that he goes, I used at the White House the most beautiful marble and stone available anywhere for the Rose Garden. Okay, first off, for a garden, who uses marble and stone in a freaking garden? Then Donald Trump goes, 3 days ago, I noticed that there was a huge gash in the limestone. Then Donald Trump goes on to say, I looked at the videotape and it turns out that a subcontractor screwed up. Then Donald Trump says, now I'll have to replace the stone charge the contractor, and never let the contractor work at the White House again. But how great is the video equipment? Make America great again. I mean, look, you've published more information on the subcontractor than you have in terms of releasing the Epstein files. By the way, the MeidasTouch network will be showing what the victims have to say. The victims of Epstein and Ghislaine will be hosting that press conference on Wednesday. And this is what Donald Trump's has done his entire life, where he doesn't pay contractors, he doesn't pay subcontractors, he screws the people over just like this, and he says, I'm not paying you, and by the way, you're the client. Maybe you should be overseeing the work of the subcontractor if you don't like it. Now, in terms of not paying people as well, former Congress member Adam Kinzinger posted the following. So, Donald Trump put the National Guard on 29-day orders. Why does this matter? They don't pay full housing allowance and no health insurance until 30 days. What an abusive commander-in-chief. So, Trump, do you remember when we reported on the MeidasTouch network when Donald Trump deployed the National Guard to California, how they weren't given beds or pillows or insurance, and they didn't have any of that prepared? We're seeing the same thing in Washington, D.C. It's why Trump did 29-day orders versus 30-day orders. So he's making the National Guard pick up the trash right there in D.C., and he's not putting them on a full 30-day order so they can get their full benefits. Absolutely, absolutely despicable right there. Now, in terms of other things that are absolutely despicable, and I got this from my research on Ground News, Trump wants to axe an affordable housing grant that's a lifeline for many rural communities. Take a look at this. And one of the things that I noted, because Ground News is the software I use that helps me understand, is the right wing reporting on this? Is the left wing reporting on this? Is the center reporting on this? Let's take a look. Trump wants to axe an affordable housing grant that's a lifeline for many rural communities. So this article focuses on someone by the name of Heather Colley. Heather Colley was making $18.50 an hour, 45-year-old, and she was able to qualify for a grant. She was able to buy her first home, and she felt so blessed by this program. This program has been around for a few decades, and under this program, 84% of the homes that were built in districts that voted for Trump. And they've helped build like over 1 million homes, with 84% being in districts that voted for Donald Trump. But now Trump is axing the affordable housing grant program for rural communities. Trump wants to axe the affordable housing grant that's a lifeline for many in rural communities. And you saw yesterday as well, I highlighted another story where Donald Trump was gutting the grants that help families with children who are seeking undergraduate degrees as well, so that they can't get any benefits while they're trying to raise their kid, low-income people. And so I get this from Ground News. You know, that's the research tool that I love to use. And Ground News, go to ground.news/MTN or scan the QR code. We're going to give our viewers 40% off of Ground News' top-tier Vantage plan, which will get you unlimited access to the research tools I use. Ground News is subscriber-funded. They don't rely on ads. That could also introduce bias. Subscribing supports our independent team, working to keep the media transparent. Again, go to ground.news/MTN or scan the QR code. Use the research tools that I use, and we'll give you 40% off, ground.news/MTN. And I just found that article so interesting as well, to see how the right wing was not covering the fact that rural communities are getting screwed here the most. They create this bubble around MAGA so that it's like they don't report on the negative stuff. That's all of the Kim Jong-un-like qualities there that exist. Folks, there's an emergency hearing taking place right now in federal court as well. I wanted to make sure I touched on it in this video, which is the Trump regime is trying to deport 600 unaccompanied Guatemalan children right now. And so the Trump regime said they were going to do it like last night around midnight, which caused a immigration group representing these unaccompanied minors to file a lawsuit. Literally, it was like filed at midnight, the lawsuit. The Trump regime said they were going to do it. They waited until late, hoping that people would be asleep so they can remove 600 Guatemalan unaccompanied children. Fortunately, these lawyers were awake. They filed the lawsuit. The judge issued an immediate emergency injunction, but the Trump regime says we're going to move these unaccompanied Guatemalans anyway. So the court just moved up its hearing to basically take place immediately. It's going to take place right now because the Trump regime says they're removing these Guatemalan children right away with like very limited notice. So the court's holding this emergency hearing. I mean, just think about the cruelty of what we're talking about. I mean, the program that helps low-income undergraduate students who have children get an education. Rural communities getting grants for affordable housing. Didn't Donald Trump say he was going to make housing cheaper? That's what you're going after? Using the Department of Education to go after student loan borrowers. Now we have 6 million Americans in default whose credit's absolutely screwed, who can participate in our economy. 600 unaccompanied Guatemalan minors from the ages of 10 to like 16 years old, 17 years old. You're torturing children right now at midnight. I mean, no time is good. They're getting rid of the federal victims protection funds and federal victims protections that work with states to help child victims of sex trafficking. They're refusing to give states aid. State attorney generals had to fight, and they're in lawsuits to say, can we please get our aid to help children who are being targeted in sex trafficking? That's what the Trump regime's doing each and every day. And it's critical we highlight it here on the MeidasTouch Network. And then they have their regime puppets like Lori Chavez DeRemer and others go on TV and just lie about what's taking place. Here's Lori Chavez DeRemer saying consumer confidence is way up. Consumers love what's happening right now. Consumer confidence is at an all-time low, objectively. They're just making up stats. They make up data. It's all fake, everything they say. She says consumer confidence is at an all-time high. Here, play this clip.
Mentioned private sector jobs, and the president talked about it as well. 84% of the jobs that have come online have been through the private sector. That is what grows the economy. And so the consumer confidence is up, and we're seeing the reinvestments. And as the president leans in on lowering the interest rates, those business owners can borrow more money at a cheaper rate and reinvest even more.
Well, with it.
Now, let's give you the real stats right now. This is from Apollo. So Apollo is not like a liberal organization, right? I mean, they're a private equity company that would normally be construed as like conservative or whatever language you want to use, whatever. Their question right now is, will we see a repeat of 2021 post-pandemic, like heart of pandemic, and the 1970s? There is upside pressure on inflation and inflation expectations. The risks are rising that we could see another inflation mountain emerge over the coming months. An inflation mountain is what Apollo is saying. And we don't need to hear Apollo say it. We know what's going on. Here you have Kristi Noem saying, I mean, this is so utterly ridiculous. She goes, if it wasn't for Donald Trump, Los Angeles wouldn't be standing today. If Donald Trump didn't send the National Guard in, there would be no Los Angeles. Here, play this clip.
Specifics of the operations that are planned in other cities, but I do know that LA wouldn't be standing today if President Trump hadn't taken action. Then that city would have burned down if left to the devices of the mayor and the governor of that state. And so the citizens who live there, the small business owners in downtown LA, they're thankful that President Trump came in with federal law enforcement officers and helped support keeping those streets open, keep their homes and businesses from burning down, and made sure the law and order was restored.
As Aaron Reichen-Melnick says, this is genuinely an insane thing to say. And the fact that the person saying it is the Secretary of Homeland Security should terrify anyone who understands that the United States faces real threats that need serious people ready to respond to them. I mean, it's the craziest thing that she said. And then you have MAGA Republicans going on TV today, like Buddy Carter, saying the most important issue is stopping the trans. Here, play this clip.
Children. Bobby Kennedy cares about children. He wants to make sure children are protected. This guy does not care. He wants to make sure that trans are protected. We want to make sure that children are protected from trans and that we keep men out of girls' lockers rooms. That's what we want to do.
Really? We're doing that again? We're doing that. That's where they go. When they're desperate, it's let's attack marginalized communities because they're weak people. Weak people attack marginalized communities. That's what bullies do. That's what all these people are. Bully failure losers, these MAGAs, these Trumpers. And that's why we got to call them out. Hit subscribe. Help us get to 6 million. Thanks for watching. We appreciate you as always. Have a happy Labor Day. We're here for you and we're fighting for you at the MeidasTouch Network.
New Meidas merch drop! Check out the latest pro-democracy sticker packs, t-shirts, hats, sweatshirts, and more. All at store.meidastouch.com.